As the founders of Surefoot, Bob and Russ Shea are obsessed with creating the perfect ski boot for you because they know that a properly fitted custom ski boot will make you a better skier, whatever level you're at. Surefoot, better fitting, better skiing.
Welcome back, Freeride fans, to another episode of the Freeride Guide in 2025. My name is Mark Warner.
I'm Derek Foose.
And you are whatever your name is, or whatever you want to be called. So glad that you're here. If you have listened, we had our this is our third episode this season. We started out with the preview, which was kind of a quick, rushed, let's get it going because the Freeride World Tour does what we should have expected it, but they started a little early. There's a lot of rushing around. And we put that together for you. We just released the recap episode for the Bakira Barrett event by Movie Star. And that was a lot of fun. We're right back into it. We recorded it about 10 minutes ago, but released it a couple days ago. Now we've got the Athletes, Rookies, and Wildcards episode. Who is on the FWT? And we want you to know. That doesn't make any sense. We want you to know who is on the FWT and why you need to know who they are. Get to know some of these new athletes, where they came from, who they are, what they're all about, what their specialties are, so that when you watch these events, you've got that extra context. You got that deep knowledge that you can get only from listening or watching the Freeride Guide. Get it on your favorite podcast app that you're listening to right now. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Or if you'd rather watch it, you can see Derek and I on the screen on YouTube. It's on the Low Pressure Podcast YouTube channel, but just type in Freeride Guide. You'll get it. You can see us there wearing our Freeride Guide caps. We're going to put together some fun merch for you guys to see as well. And big shout out before we get started to Surefoot, who is sponsoring the Freeride Guide this season. The best custom boot fitters in the world. I will claim it, period.
Yep. Bar none. If you want happy feet, Surefoot's your spot. 26 locations around the globe. It's easy to find them. It's not easy to get in because they're so busy with so many happy customers, but you could be one of them.
Book. You can go online and you can set up an appointment. It's funny. There's a Surefoot in Whistler that Derek and I have both been to frequently every year. Like we've been going there for 20 plus years, each of us. We're not just stoked that Surefoot's a sponsor. It just makes sense because we've used them for all this time. So I used to just roll in, say, hey, what's up, guys? I go hang out in the back, have a beer, just get my boots fitted. And lately, the last couple of years, Sam there is like, dude, you got to make an appointment. I'm so busy. It's like, I'm sorry, but you got to. I'm like, that's fair. That's fair. I don't want to cut in front of anybody, but
it's a good sign.
Yeah, I got happy feet. I've sent a lot of people in there. I'm my mechanic in the city. Skis in Whistler all the time. He went and bought boots for like his whole family. So everybody that I know that has issues with their feet or needs new boots, send them to Surefoot even before they were a sponsor of the Freeride Guide. So thanks, Freeride. Thanks, Surefoot. Anyways, here we go. The Athletes, Rookies, Wildcards. So another thing that we do with these episodes is we've got the fan feedback. It's called the backslap. Did we backslap on a take? Do you want to give us a slap on the back for a good point or a good episode? Did we backslap on a take that we didn't get right? Or do you want to get us to talk about something that we missed? So the backslap email, we've got one, which I actually saved from the end of last season. So Steve Bennett, thanks for emailing us. Sorry it took so long to read it. Hey, fellas, what are your thoughts on Europe versus IFSA and how comps and scoring is done? I have a kid that came up through IFSA juniors, and then this past season was in Europe in the qualifiers and the challengers. I have to say Europe seems to have it dialed. Coverage is really good with regarding streaming and scores out of 100, which is he likes. And the scores are actually delivered on the spot. Derek, what do you think about the differences? And will or should IFSA move towards doing it like Europe? Thanks, Steve Bennett.
Well, thanks, Steve. Steve Bennett, the dad of 2024 junior world champ Lucas Bennett, who put himself...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Steve's a long-time Whistler Freeride Club parent and just generally awesome guy. And I love that he's still so engaged in the sport that he's listening to us. Yeah, so there's a bit to unpack here. Definitely things are pretty dialed in Europe. The live streams are excellent. That is straight up a matter of budget. They have more of it, so they can afford to produce a higher, just basically a higher level of content in the live streams. The scoring, I mean, live scoring is something that IFSA is really working towards especially for the Challenger Series. We'll see when we can get it online, but it is recognized as something that's required, especially if you're going to live stream an event. When you watch a live stream and you have no idea who did what or what the scores are, it loses some of its punch for sure. And then in terms of the differences, it's really interesting. Just coming from Capel from Junior Worlds, it's an opportunity, one of ideally two opportunities where Region 1 and Region 2 judges can get together and do some comparing, and they will sit and they'll video judge a comp using their own systems and then compare the results. The interesting piece is that almost always the results are exactly the same or very, very close to the same. Those two sets of judges right now and for the last year are working together to refine their systems to come to a global judging system. That is the goal. And we'll see where they're at. I'm not involved in that process. I'm not a Freeride judge on either side, but I definitely work closely with judges on both sides of the globe and spend a lot of time with them and kind of working around the work that they do as a coach in Region 2 and as a commentator in Region 1. And I'm really excited that they're working together, trying to lock their systems down and try and come to something that's a bit more universal, because I think that would be awesome for our sport. It's definitely a bit weird for North American and South American kids to go over to Europe for world champs and use a totally different judging system. But as I said before, the results almost always the same. They have the same criteria. They're just applied a little bit differently. And there's challenges. There's challenges to both systems, but just know that everybody's working together to try to come closer together as we move forward.
Right on. Very thorough. Great answer. Appreciate you for that. Thanks, Steve.
What I'm here for.
Yeah, he's the expert. Thanks, Steve, for sending that in. And please, folks, shoot us an email if you have a question or you want to contribute to the backslap at freerideguidepodcast.com. All right, well, let's get into this episode. Rookies, wildcards, the athletes. Who's returning? Who isn't? All right, we're going to get started with ski men because that's just how I've got it listed here. So right off the top, the world champion, Max Hitzig, has withdrawn with an injury just about a week before the competition started. From what I have learned, a bit of a back injury. Is that correct?
Yeah. He's got fractures in L3 and L4 in the lumbar spine. The transverse processes broke off. Funny enough, I had the exact same injury to the exact same vertebrae this summer. And I did some messaging with Max after, just kind of letting him know what the process was like for me. And I think it was at the beginning of December that the injury happened. He was kind of fired up that he might be able to be okay. He is back on skis, but he's not really able to take air at the moment. So I think
the kind of air that he takes.
Well, exactly.
Freeride robot air.
He needs to be operating at 100% physically to be able to do that. And with the ability to operate at 100% physically comes the ability to operate at 100% mentally. Right. It's so tied together. So I give Max credit for pulling the plug, rather than trying to come back and push through something when you're just not ready. If your body's not ready, it's not worth the risk. So he's going to take his time to recover properly. And then I have zero doubt that we'll see him absolutely firing next year, fully healthy.
No, absolutely. Because that's just what he does, man. He's one of the most electric riders we've seen in a long time, consistently. So this Freeride World Tour truly is that. There are many, many nations that are represented on the Freeride World Tour. One, which is, I would say, always on the tour, and there's normally several is New Zealand, which has a fantastic junior program. They have a fantastic national program for freeride. Shout out to Dion Newport and all of his cohorts for getting that started and continuing to run through New Zealand, which is why there are always plenty of Kiwis on the tour. But this year, there's only one. Ben Richards is back. Yeah. Third overall last year. He's back, but he's the only Kiwi this year, which is kind of strange.
It is, because they just produce such a strong group of riders year on year on year on year. Like the pipeline of talent is so filled in New Zealand, and it's a small country and an even smaller shred community down there, but they just keep doing it. So Ben is holding it down for the Kiwis, and I have no doubt there's more coming. You look on the challenger rankings in both regions, and there's tons of New Zealand flags in there. So I'm sure we're going to see the cup filled back up very shortly.
Absolutely. So we're going to get right into it here. So the new rider. So basically, as everybody knows, if you're on the tour, there's a cut. Some riders make the cut and they move on to the finals. Other riders get relegated down to the challenger tour. Then the challengers, the winners of the challengers, I think it's 4 ski men, 2 ski women, 2 snowboard men, and 1 snowboard woman from each region, 1 and 2, then make their way onto the tour. And then I think there's 1 floater for snowboard women that they get to choose between region 1 and region 2. So the new riders, the rookies, we've got Virgile Didier from France. What can you tell me about Virgile? Do you know much about him?
Yeah, well, I've just got to meet him, in the last couple of days as we kicked off stop number 1. Chamonix kid. He's worked with Kevin Guri. I'm probably going to get sick of myself saying this, but his skiing is so good. He was, the first guy out of the gate. It's kind of fun actually having the first comp to inform some of this discussion now. But yeah, he's really good, and he kicked things off with a bang. Super excited to be here. He's so stoked on just being around the heroes. It's kind of the classic Freeride World Tour new athlete feeling, where all of a sudden he's with people that he's watched on TVs, looked up to as a young rider. So yeah, Virgile Didier out of Chamonix, like he's got mountains in his blood.
From Chamonix, you're gonna right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's cool too. Like as we said, over the last couple of years, there's been quite a transition to the new, I guess, a new generation. But there are still the Christopher Trudells and the Carl Reniers. But even part of that new wave have started to become the veterans, like Maxime Chablot, like Marcus Gauguin, who is still in his third season?
And he's only 20.
Yeah, but he's already done so much that it's like, oh my God, there's Marcus Gauguin. So that's pretty cool. Next up from Germany, we got Timo Rolshoven, who just won the Nanda Backcountry Invitational, which was a really, really cool. I love that event, but not quite the same because they built jumps into the side of the mountain, but that enables him to do things like a dub 10 in competition. Totally. Which is one of the reasons he won.
Timo was a gymnast as a kid. You can see it as soon as he leaves the snow.
For real.
On his skis. He was a bronze medalist at the Junior World Champs a couple years ago, the same year that Marcus won. And yeah, lovely kid, super nice, really, really talented, solid skier. Like you said, dub 10 in the Nanda Backcountry Invitational. So he's got that fully rounded bag of tricks and skills that are just going to be, I think, extremely in place here on the Freeride World Tour. That kid's got it all.
Right on. And so he's riding for Germany. We know that Max is riding for Germany now as well, but he was I guess Max is Austrian. Do you know if he has any kind of mentors or anybody that is on the tour or anybody that he can kind of lean on that's more of a countryman or something along those lines?
Yeah, he's good friends with Valley Rayner. And so it's great to have a mentor like that, a Freeride World Tour champion that you can lean on and just kind of get the ropes going and just understand, all the stuff outside of the skiing. The skiing he's got dialed, but you arrive at the Freeride World Tour, for stop number 1, and all of a sudden there's all this media. You're doing interviews, you're doing all kinds of press. Signing posters, where it feels like not that long ago you were the one on the other side of the line getting posters from tour riders.
Right, handing the pen and saying, "Hey, this is my name. Can you sign my name?"
Yeah.
Right.
So it's pretty cool that he's got Valet to kind of help him through this first transition into being one of the big dogs.
And I'm sure Max, because Max and Valley are great friends, both world champions, and they're both fantastic human beings. So those are a couple good people to have on your team for sure.
Yeah.
Moving along, we're gonna roll through. This is a lot to get to, so we want to kind of roll through this. We got where am I here? Joanne Aracil, who was actually a wild card in a former event, kind of an infamous event. He had a pretty bad crash in Andorra a few years ago, but he's made his way back onto the tour.
Yeah, Joan, third overall on the Challengers last year, took the win in the Obertauern one, so super solid. I've been watching his Instagram all through the early season, and he's definitely, he's got all the tricks. He's doing backflips and threes and dubs and everything off of everything. And he's just so proud to be representing Andorra on the Freeride World Tour. It's been a while since there's been an Andorran rider, and
which is interesting because Andorra is such a staple on the tour, and they have the World Championships, which have been announced for next year. There's no Andorra event this year, but next year they're really pumping it up because now they are truly in the FIS kind of format where you have your tour, but then you have a separate World Championships, which is at his home. And like I said, I'm surprised more Andorran riders aren't coming from there because there has been such a heavy presence over the last decade.
Yeah, well, Joanne definitely might be stoking the flame of that community to get a few more young kids up and hungry and ready to go. I mean, you still have to be at the level. You got to battle your way through the qualifiers and the challengers and then get yourself on the tour. But really exciting skier to watch, and I think he's matured over the last couple of years since we saw him as that wild card, as you said, in the Andorra FWT stop. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what he's got on the tour. Nice guy, quiet, a bit reserved, but I think he's just taking it all in.
Maybe he can turn into one of those hometown heroes because Andorra is just as a crow flies, only like 50 kilometers really from Bakira, where Aymar and Abel are from, and they are just championed as like local heroes. So potentially there's a little something similar that Joanne can benefit from.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be a presence on the tour here for a bit.
Fantastic.
I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, me too. Moving on, we've got Mathis Fournier. How do you pronounce his last name?
So it's Mathis Fournassier.
Thank you. Mathis Fournassier from France, who had a pretty scary crash last week. Where's he from and how's he feeling and how's he doing?
Yeah, Mathis, he's working with former Freeride World Tour rider Mikhail Bimbos, as his coach and his mentor. And they're doing a YouTube series together, Winter Activities. Mathis is definitely, it's hard to say because we didn't get to see much of his skiing. A rock took his ski right at the start of his run and
snow snake took him out.
Yeah. And as you said, like a really scary crash there for Mathis. He's from Avoriaz, part of the Porte du Soleil, the French part of the Porte du Soleil. And yeah, as I said, working with Bimbo, so that's a good guy to have in your corner. So many of these riders have these people around them who are really
coaches,
able to,
basically.
Yeah, basically coaches. Well, not basically, they are
coaches. Yeah.
and just helping guide them through the skiing and everything else that comes with being a tour rider. So we'll reserve judgment for Mathis because right now I'm just really happy that he's okay after that crash.
Fantastic. And what's the name of the YouTube series?
Winter Activities.
Winter Activities. Cool.
Yeah,
and is it in French?
100%. Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully we get the go for the captions. Go for the captions. Next up is another rookie, a familiar name for the Freeride World Tour, Toby Rafford, who is Addison Rafford's an event winner, her brother. And we mentioned on the last episode, style lords.
Totally.
On and off the hill.
Toby came last year to the first event with Addy, the one that was restaged in Verbier when we opened the season in Verbier, and he foreran the event, and it threw me back to Wei Tian Ho forerunning in Kicking Horse a few years back, where he elevated the entire mood of the competitors with his forerun. He skied so well. He did a huge 360, absolutely perfect. And every one of those riders watching, when they saw that, were like, oh, it's on, let's go. And so it's really cool to see that him come full circle, go to the Challengers, light it up, take the win, first overall in the Challengers. He battled it out with Tom Pfeiffer, and he's just bringing such a great spirit. He reminds me so much of his sister. She's been on the tour the last few years, and they have a very similar way of carrying themselves, of skiing, all of these things. So Toby, and then wow, I mean, you watch him ski.
Second place in his very first event as a rookie. His sister did the same thing. She won her first event in the same competition, different face, but I wonder if there's a sibling rivalry there at all.
Well, this guy is definitely going places. I mean, he made a huge statement with that opening gambit on the Freeride World Tour, the dub flat, skiing through really technically difficult zones and just making it look easy. He's so natural on his skis, and I think we're going to be in for a treat having Toby on tour, because he's absolutely electric to watch.
Amazing. All right, so next up we've got our first non-rookie, Mr. Tom Pfeiffer, World Tour Tom, as he may or may not like to be called, but he's a friend of the Freeride Guide, a personal friend of ours. He hosted one of the very first edition of this show when it was the Freeride World Tour podcast. He replaced you for an event. Last year, he was your co-host on the broadcast for the Kicking Horse event. He's worked his way through the Challengers. He's back on the tour. He is involved in the tour. If you need something from that guy, he will step up and do it. He's just a fantastic human being. Pumped to have Tom back on. And I'm glad he's doing well after his big tomahawk last week, which is going to be shown for years to come.
Yeah, a fantastic guy, but let's not undersell how good he is at skiing.
True. I'm just talking about how good.
I know. But he truly is an incredible skier. He's so strong. He's so technically proficient. He took the win in Crested Butte last year at the first Challenger stop with an unbelievable technical quad.
Even before the Challengers were finished last year, even before the final event, he was already had his ticket booked.
Yep. He had his
ticket booked before the final event out of 3, so he was in.
Yeah, so good. And before that crash, I mean, Tom was on fire. He skied the top section of the Bakira Barrette of the La Bamba face so well with a big 360. Tom's been refining his trick game at home. He's been skiing with a crew of hungry young shredders like Marcus Gogan and that whole Goon Squad crew, and Teal Harl.
Wei Chin.
Yeah, who are just tricks everywhere. And Tom's like, yep, this is what we're doing now, and I'm going to do it too. And it's awesome to see. He's, again, like we've spoken about this a few times from a few riders, come back on the tour with a more mature outlook, but only physically stronger and better at skiing. So I think, like you said, happy he's okay. I know his mom Sharon was terrified watching him tomahawk down that face, but I think we're going to see a great season from Tom.
Me too. I'm pumped to see it. Next up, we have where are we here? I lost my spot. Oh, Finn Griffith is a rookie from the USA. His dad is a very big fan of Freeride. He sends me a lot of messages. I think he's a great dude. Bought me a shot that I didn't even know was him that bought it for me at the Challenger in Kirkwood. What can you say about Finn?
Finn's a cool kid. He's young, another young rider. He won the overall tour in juniors his last year, and that kind of earned him a wildcard spot onto the Challengers for 2024. And he took that by the throat, no hesitation, earned himself a spot straight onto the World Tour, which is pretty impressive for a guy that young. Skis out of Vail, Colorado, lives in Edwards, and he's a threat. He and Carl Regner Eriksson, unfortunately, both going down on their first hit in the Bakira comp. So didn't get a great look at it, but I know how good he is and I know what he's capable of. So I'm another one I'm not really worried about. This one, it's kind of great this year with 5 events before the cut. You can have a couple of throwaways. So as long as your mental game is strong and you can come back and just let that go, I think we'll see big things out of Finn.
Quick question for you. It's always been 3 events before the cut on 5 event seasons. This year we got a 6 event season. Why is it 5 events to the cut rather than 4?
To get more time with more athletes. One of the reasons that they had to make the cut before Fieberbrunn was they did the 2-run format in Fieberbrunn, and you can't do 2 runs with 50 people. It just there's not enough room on the mountain for that. So they've dropped the 2-run format for Fieberbrunn and moved the cut back to after that event. So everyone will go to Austria this year, which I think is awesome. And it gives a little bit more breathing room, a little more opportunity for riders to really showcase their skills before the cut, where before, if you had 1 fall, you're in trouble. If you had 2 falls, you're out. So now riders can kind of push a little bit, which is great for us as fans when we get to see them, skiing at their full potential. So as far as I know, that's what's behind that.
Okay, great. Good to know. And then Tams Marvel.
Marvel,
excuse me, Marvel, the superhero. I was going to say Marvel. He's a superhero, part of the Marvel universe. As a what would it be? A superhero? He was like the super skier.
Anyways, you know what? I back that actually. I back that because the turns that he made. So he had a bit of an unfortunate crash. Or fairly high in his run, over rotating that backflip and then falling through that kind of rubbly section.
Just had like cat-like precision through like a triple.
His skiing was incredible.
Did Hadley say it was reminiscent of a Sam Smoothie? I think she
said. Yeah, exactly. Really quick feet, super direction control, and he was super bummed because he said, backflips are my bread and butter. Like I haven't crashed on a backflip since I was 13. So it was, I think, maybe a bit of a factor of stacking too many things too close together, because he was kind of just unable to slow down before he threw that, and just over rotated above a bunch of rocks and.
So what you're saying is
bushes.
he's technically sound when it comes to not only basically blending freestyle and freeride together.
Yeah, so we'll stay tuned with Tams because he was definitely favoring his knee after that big crash. So we'll let you know out there as soon as we find out what's going on with Tams, but hopefully he's all right.
Right on. So those are the rookies and the not rookies. Returning is Mr. Ross Tester, who we all know. Ross is a staple in the Freeride World Tour. He took a year off. He's back with the season wildcard, and the tour seems to know what they're doing with these wildcards. Boss Ross wins the first event of the season. That's a guy who's just got the whole package, and he proves it every time he's out there. He's a threat to win every single week. Such a nice human being. So Ross Tester, welcome back. Another seasonal wild card, or I guess injury wild card, Simon Perrodin.
Yeah, he got hurt in the Verbier comp last year, first event of the year. And so he's back full swing, and he did go down in the Bakira comp, but we'll see. Those Verbier kids are weapons. So their skiing is really solid. I'm sure we'll see Simon come back in Val Thorens with some aggression.
Yeah, but the strength and the power of a gorilla. Le Gorille.
Yeah.
the team from Verbier. We've got Wei Tien Ho is back as well as a seasonal wild card, peak performance rider. We all know Wei Tien. He had a pretty good run this last week as well, but we all know that like with the peak performance line of the day, but Wei Tien is that guy that is going to find an interesting line. He's going to launch himself off something massive. You never really know what to expect, but it's always like eye-popping.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Let's
understatedly eye-popping. It's not he isn't the flashiest rider, but the stuff he does is mind-blowing. Does that make sense?
Flashy. Oh yeah, and I mean he finished 6th with a full backslap. So imagine without that, if he was able to clean that 360 into the couloir up, imagine, where he would have been. So that's a solid first result for Wei Tien because the rest of his run was absolutely incredible. Right. And I think you said before, he's coming off a broken leg really not that long ago. So this will be a big confidence boost for him to know that he can get it done with all the rest of the guys on the tour.
Definitely, and he's one of your proteges from the Whistler Freeride Club. He's been grinding on the junior tour, through the Freeride World Tour, the Challengers, back to the tour. So he is a dedicated freeride athlete and a pretty spectacular mountain biker too, actually.
Yeah. He's, I keep joking about this on the broadcast that he's part of this Freeride World Tour Overachievers Club. All of these people are like not just good at this, but also
Maxime
professionals.
Chablot, who's a world champion for 2 different sports. You got
Yeah,
Astrid, who's
totally.
now doing the kite skiing or the kiteboarding
Yeah,
world tour. The Marcus and Wei Tian are on the mountain bike Team Canada for mountain biking. Like,
yeah,
wild.
there's so many of them that are just total overachievers in their lives. So I love
Mega
it.
athletes.
Yeah.
Mega athletes. Then we've got the seasonal wildcard, Edvin Olsen from Ora, Sweden.
Yeah, the big Swede. He is such a good skier. I love his style. He's kind of blending. Somebody described him as a perfect blend between Christopher and Carl, and that's a pretty lethal combination in this sport. He's got a big bag of tricks. He's super bold, but he's just so smooth. Really, really fun skier to watch. He dominated the 4-stars last year in Region 1, and then just had some weird bad luck in the challengers, and wasn't able to put it all together. So they tossed him a wild card, and I think that's going to be one that nobody regrets.
Right on. Now we all know that Carl and Christopher had a third in Reina. Is Edvin gonna fill that space or like take over
We'll
as
see.
the third musketeer?
We'll see. He's been traveling and hanging with Cody Bramwell. A fellow compatriot of Swedish descent, although he rides for the UK
and lives in Greece.
Yeah. He's Mr. Worldwide.
We'll get to him in a minute. Yeah, but that's great. So Edvin is definitely one to watch, right? And if you can compare them to both Christopher and Carl, then yeah, definitely one to pay attention to. And then finally, we have an event wild card, Abel Moga, who I was on the chat during the event, and I was like, okay, get ready for a front flip. That's just his. That's just his
100% chance of a front flip.
100% chance of front flip. That's just his thing, man. That's how you know Abel. Super happy, go lucky, amazing human being. Champ, like a superstar. In Bakira, so it would be the dumbest thing ever not to have him there because he lives right in town. And he had a great run in the event. And I guess during an injury pause, you guys did an interview with him, hilarious interview with him. I think you called him the mustachioed mafioso. And you let him know that he'd been awarded a season wildcard based on the run that he just finished.
Yeah, that was epic. I didn't know any of that beforehand. And we're getting the director in our ear saying, hey, let's do an interview with Abel and we'll talk about the season wildcard. And I was like, what season wildcard? Like, you can tell him. I was like, oh, sick. So he was so stoked to hear that news and to have it live on the show. I definitely like triple checked that that's what I was supposed to say. Cause man, once you say it on TV, it just becomes true. But yeah, I'm pumped to have Abel back. He just injects such a great energy into the community and the tour, and having a Spanish rider is amazing. And like you said, he's a total rock star in the Spanish freeride community. And that mustache is only making it better.
Yeah, it's still not full enough. He's still young. He still needs to thicken out a little bit. But he's also one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in the world. So congrats to all of them. So that's ski men. Next up, ski women. So this one has always been one of my favorite events. Now there are a few notable omissions for ski women. Hedvig, after winning last year, coming back to the tour, finally getting her title, has stepped away to get back into her free riding and her filming, I would assume. I think she did a 200-hour yoga retreat earlier this fall as well. So Hedvig's always been very aware of taking care of herself. Taking care of her mentals, taking care of her body. So I've always respected Hedvig for that. I always kind of pay attention to say, what's Hedvig doing? How can I improve my life by watching what she does in her life? So that's a bit of a bummer. Maybe we get her as a wild card at some point. Manon Lowski, she's decided to step away from the tour as well, which is I'm upset about that personally, because I'm a fan of Manon. I wanted to make t-shirts. Just because she's one of the best female riders in the world right now.
Totally. Yeah, so exciting.
So maybe we get her as a wild card. Who knows, right? Who knows? We'll see what happens. So one of the things I'm wondering about this year is who's going for the double. We were talking about the Nanda backcountry with Timo earlier. Astrid was in there and she won the overall, and she was the first female, our first women skier to throw a double in competition. Yes, it was off of a curated jump, but are we going to see one in competition this year? And who is going to do it first?
Well, Astrid can do them. Jenna Keller has done them. And Justine 100% can do them.
Looking at Lily Bradley's massive backflip last event, I'd bet you she could pull one around.
Yeah, I think so. So I wouldn't put it past this field to bust one out if the opportunity arises with the right jump or the right feature. I think there's a number of women in the field that can do it. Will we see it? Who knows? I mean, we already did last week, like you said, in Nanda with two of them.
And we had a bunch of backflips in the event we had this week in Bikira. Last year the backflips were a little more rare. Closer to the end of the season, they were coming through. But we'll see what happens. So, okay, so let's get into what looks like in the ski women field. Almost everyone's either a rookie, a season wildcard, or an injury wildcard, with the exception of like 3 riders. So another notable omission is Sybille Blancjean has just also had to back out with an injury as well.
Yeah, that's really tough. She also broke some vertebrae, so she's gonna be out for a bit, and she's definitely. I mean, Sybille's so good. She's won at Verbier. She's from Verbier. It seems like they just churn out rider after rider of the World Tour caliber. So I guess luckily for us, but unlucky for her, she was replaced with another Verbier rider and a world champ at that. So with Sybille out, Elizabeth Gerritsen coming in, which is super exciting for all of us. Ellie's definitely like fireworks at all times. Zero chill from Elizabeth Gerritsen. She has no first gear.
Even though she's like one of the most chill people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, it's true. I
was like, wait a minute. Clarify.
Let's put that. Her skiing has no chill.
Ellie is one of the most chill people I've ever met in my life. But her skiing is it's like this duality, right? Maybe she needs that balance in her life. I'm this chill, but I need to balance it out by being an absolute monster on my skis. So that covers that. So Sybille, unfortunately, is out with an injury. Hopefully she heals up quickly. Elizabeth Gerritsen is a season wildcard to replace her 2021 world champion. And remember that world champion came right down to her and Hedvig to the final event. She won by, I think, 40 points. It was quite the story. And Ellie is just a great human, and she's a great ambassador for the tour. And I think she loves it. I think she really does enjoy it.
Yeah,
and she's really good at it.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing her and having her around for the rest of the year.
Right on. Let's get to some rookies on tour here. We got Jenna Keller, who is a high-level ski instructor in Verbier, I believe. She's on the international head skiing team, like freeride team. I met her here in Whistler while they were out filming for their head free skiing film, Beyond. And I think this kind of caught her off guard. I think she just was entering the contests to do them. And I think this kind of caught her off guard.
She said that the last season was going to be her final season of competitive freeride. And then she made the tour. So she was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll do that. And she's totally all in on it. I mean, she's such a good skier. It shouldn't be a surprise that she took the win on the Challenger Tour, a couple of podiums, and that was it. She was on the Freeride World Tour. Had a bit of a crash in the first stop, but another one that I expect will come back and be mighty as we go forward.
So she fun fact, she also has a family connection through the Freeride World Tour. I believe she's the stepsister of Kiwi Blake Marshall, who was on the tour for many, many years.
Yeah, exactly. So, Blake's been, Blake and her have skied together a ton. You can kind of see very similar styles, super smooth and just great people. So
she's got that ear that she can call and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Like she's got that mentor in her brother to be like, hey, what do I do on this face? Because he's been to majority of the faces that we're going to be skiing this season as well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And she's really good at this. You know, she won the Challenger Tour last year. Like you said, she's a high level ski instructor in Verbier, so her technique is super dialed. And she's good at the tricks. You know, I've been again watching the Instagram, watching her hitting the airbag, and she did a double backflip in that head film last year into powder. But yeah, she's a weapon, and I think well, across the entire field, there's nobody you can count out.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's Jenna Keller, another rookie, Lena Kohler from Germany, who had an unfortunate event last week. Had an unfortunate event, ended up going for a little bit of a crash, but I think she's one to be watching as well.
Holy, did she ever go out hard? I mean, right out of the gate, you could just see the aggression in her skiing. Lena is such a good skier, comes from an alpine racing background. You could see that immediately, like carving turns. And then, yeah, got just completely bucked up in that top section, and certainly not the only one to struggle in that section of the La Bamba face. But Lena, peak performance rider. She's young. She hangs out with Vale, and Timo, you know, part of the German speaking squad, and living in St. Anton, and yeah, just a crusher. I can't wait to see her when we get some soft snow, because she's, you know, I was with her at Face Check, and she was showing me what she was planning to do on the bottom half of the mountain, and like not holding back, not looking to put down a safe run for her debut on the tour. So yeah, very exciting. I like her. I like her eye for line.
Awesome. Next up, we've got a couple riders from the USA. Britta Winans, unfortunately, had a crash as well, but she watching her through the challengers was really impressive. I was like, okay, I'm excited to see what she's going to be able to do. What can you tell me about Britta?
Well, grew up, you know, juniors at the Palisades, like Squaw Free used to be, now Palisades Freeride. Her older sisters, Mia and Annika, also both freeride skiers. You know, both Britta and Mia went to Junior Worlds as young athletes. So super high level. And like you said, in the challengers, it was just so inspiring watching Britta ski. Super strong, super fast, really clean technique. And a real bummer. She's dealing with a dislocated shoulder right now, so we'll see
from the event that we just had in Bikira.
Yeah, she dislocated her shoulder in that fall. And if you were kind of wondering, because I was watching the broadcast, why she couldn't stop, Britta's had two really serious knee injuries: a full ACL reconstruction and then a bucket handle meniscus tear. So she was really hesitant to dig her skis in to try to stop herself in case something happened with her knee and she got flipped. But the shoulder dislocated at the very first impact. So she also couldn't use her arm to slow herself down. So she was basically down to one of four limbs to try to self-arrest on that slide. And the snow was so hard. I mean, she went for such a long ride.
Right.
And with that dislocated shoulder the whole time, I mean, that must have just been awful.
You know what? She got up and skied out, which is holy smokes.
Yeah,
I've dislocated my shoulder, and it was the worst, most consistent pain I've ever experienced in my life. I've broken a lot of things. I've hurt myself many times. Without question, shoulder was the worst one. So watching her go through that and then get up and then ski to the bottom, like, you couldn't tell that she dislocated. I didn't know what happened. Maybe she broke an arm or something, but you couldn't see it in her body language. Yes, I hurt herself, but the amount of pain that she was going through, but how she like muscled through it, huge marks for me, big credit for me.
Yeah. Full warrior.
So I hope she heals up really, really quickly. You know, that probably means that it's an end to her season, I would think. Depending if she's done it before or not. If she hasn't done it before, I would say probably fair to say that, you know, she may be out this season, which is unfortunate. So best wishes to Britta, and heal up quickly, because we'd love to see you back here soon.
Yeah, big time.
Chloe Hare.
Chloe Hare, holy, what a start. You know, skiing out of Colorado. She's young, again, 20. She only did one season on the qualifiers, and she was first at Kirkwood. I think she said she went into the challengers just being like, wow, this is cool. Like, no way I get to be here. And then was so good. Took down the field, finished second overall, just behind Britta, and stamped herself a spot on the tour. She rides out of Telluride. Ryan Van Nuys is one of her coaches, Connor Pelton. Like, she's got a good people behind her that have kind of helped her become the skier that she is today. But she was very, very impressive in her debut, run on the Freeride World Tour. Like, really, really complicated, difficult to find line. First time ever doing visual inspection, which she was pretty nervous about, but she handled it like a total pro.
Fantastic. Yeah. So it'll be fun to watch her as well. So that's the rookies. We have a non-rookie rookie. It's an injury wild card, Taylor Dobbins, which we mentioned earlier. Was it either last episode or was it today? We mentioned it either on this episode or the one before. She's an impressive lady as well, because she's been going to law school during during a lot of this as well. So she injured herself at the first event in Bakira last year. I remember chatting with her. We were commentating the Kirkwood Challengers event, and I was like, "Hey, are you gonna come back as an injury wild card?" She's like, "I'm not sure if I'm gonna get one." I'm like, "You'll get one. I think you deserve one." So it's great to see her back. We talked about it that she put down a safe run, just get her feet under her. But I think we're going to see some cool things from Taylor as well.
Yeah, she's a great skier, and like you said, just like an inspiring person. Done law school at the same time as you're skiing in the Challengers and qualifying for the tour. I mean, that time management. Hadley said that in the broadcast, like, incredible time management. So yeah, she's stoked, and she said straight up she just wanted to get one down on her feet and kind of try to get some confidence back, because that's her first comp run since she was injured.
Right.
So that's a big deal for an athlete, and
because she wasn't quite ready enough during the Challengers, which is why she was working it with me. Yeah. Excellent. Well, yeah, that's a big thing to get into, especially nerves. Like, in your mind, you're like, hey, the last time I did this happened. Yeah. Now I'm back into it. Okay. Now I've got it under my belt. Now I can relax and show you what I can really do. Mm-hmm. Awesome. We have some seasonal wild cards. We have 4 of them. Justine Dufour Lapointe is back, former World Tour champion. I think we mentioned, that she had to deal with some family situations, and now that's been resolved, and she can be back on the tour and do what she does, like huck a massive, perfect backflip. Perfectly formed, perfectly landed, perfect in the air. It's just technical. Like you said, she's done it thousands of times. So she's back, and it wasn't a fluke. She's like, I'm gonna.
It was not a fluke. She's so good.
Look out! I'm here.
Yeah, and she wants to do. She's got a little bit of weight off her shoulders in that she has a tour title. She's not now coming in wondering if she can do this. Mm-hmm. She's coming in wondering, what are the coolest things I can do? How hard can I push? Where can I take this? So she's definitely a part of this crew that is looking to punch a hole in the sky with what they're doing. So really exciting to see that mindset, Justine, coming in, kind of free, loose, no real pressure, and just ready to absolutely send.
Absolutely. We got another multi-world champion is returning as a seasonal wildcard. Ariana Tricomi, 3-time consecutive world champion, is back on tour. She's been away for a couple years. She did a wild card, but she's been away for a couple years, and I think the level of riding has stepped up. So I'm really excited to see how this legend of the sport, is going to interact with some of these youngsters who may be pushing her a little bit, but also may be intimidated by her a little bit. I'd love to see how things work out there. I think
both of those are accurate. She's a pioneer in bringing freestyle to freeride in the ski women's discipline, and in doing that earned herself 3 world titles in a row. She was less than impressed with the conditions on the Bakira face, and so just kind of did a mellow run and
with a 360.
Yeah. I mean, look, mellow by world champion standards for her. But Ari's a threat on any venue at any time, And as soon as it gets soft, she just lights up. So I think we're going to see. But yeah, you're right. Like some of the younger women definitely a little bit intimidated by having the champ there. And in 2023, you kind of alluded to it before, she had one event wildcard one time and finished first.
Yeah.
You know, she came back, she looked around, she's like, cool, I can still win. And then pieced out again.
In a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know if you've brought the level up. Well, so as of right now, there are 3 world champions competing on the ski women side. I would love... so I'm a little disappointed. I would have loved for Hedvig to come back, but there's no reason for her. She maybe not need to because she's got what she needed. But I wanted to see Justine and Hedvig go head to head. But now that you've got Elizabeth Gerritsen and Ariana Tricome and Justine, I would have loved to see Hedvig and then maybe Jess come back for a wild card and have 5 world champions competing against each other. Like, how exciting would that be? So I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I'm going to send Hedvig a message.
Put it out into the universe.
Hey, I want maybe Kicking Horse. I want to see 5 world champions battling out with each other. Like, how exciting is that for the sport? And that spans over 8 years, obviously.
Yeah. That's right? All the world champions for the last 8 years.
3 for Ari. Then you have Elizabeth. Then you have Jess. Then you got Hedvig. Justine. Then you have Hedvig. Like, wow, exciting. And then you've got riders like Astrid and Zuza is coming out. Like, it's an exciting field right now. I think I said it's always been kind of my favorite one because it's always there. And then you've got another seasonal wild card. Probably the most unique, the person who has the most unique line choices of anyone on the tour, Molly Armanino. You never know where she's going. You never know what she's doing. She skis so aggressively, so hard, and she's so strong, and she skis lines that no one even thinks about. Molly's back on tour.
Yeah, really, really exciting to have Molly back. She didn't have the best day in the Bakira Pro, but she'll shake it off, and we'll see her back to her usual like wingnut creativity. I love watching Molly ski. She's so strong and like you said, so fast. She was trying to get to the air that Marcus Gogan 360. And the track was all full of rocks, and she ended up just getting bucked down below the track, and that kind of threw her off. And then the rest of the time she was just trying to basically make it up on the go. But even just that, like the fact that one skier hit that and it was Marcus, and that was Molly's plan as well, just tells the whole story. Like, she is up for it, and she wants to make the highlight reel and just do awesome things in the mountains. So yeah, she'll be fine, and we'll see Molly come back firing in Val Thorens for sure.
Yeah, a true free rider. Like, she wants to find those lines, those complicated, tricky lines that make people go, holy smokes. So really stoked to have Molly back. And like I said, usually my favorite category, just because of the possibilities, and everybody, the level is so high and everyone's on par with each other that you don't know who's going to do what. So I love that. So moving on, we got 2 more here. The snowboarders. We got snowboard men. We've got, do you think Victor De La Rue will ever, because let me just put this in, the De La Rue family name is legendary in freeride. You got Xavier, his brother, who is probably the biggest legend of freeride competition. Incorrect?
Yeah. In and out of competition.
Right?
You put him and Jeremy Jones, maybe Travis Rice, and that's kind of it for the, that's
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Right? Well, then you have Victor, who's a 3-time world champion, consecutive. You have Victor, who had 2 film projects out this last year while competing on the tour and winning 4 out of 5 events. He did 2 different film projects, which absolutely cleaned up, specifically the IF3 awards. He showed up and he came just before the event, took like 9 awards home for him and the films as he was a part of. The video that he did with Marcus Eder.
Oh, Circle of Madness. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. You know what I said that movie was? It's as if they went to Alaska, and then they went to all of these classic lines, and he's like, almost approach it like a video game. Can I get the high score on all of these classic lines that people have been seeing the best riders in the world do over the years? Well, let's do them better. That's pretty much how it looked. And then he started off this season with yet another win. So he's 5 for 6 in his last 6 events. And I actually didn't research anything beyond that. It could be more.
That's enough. I mean,
yeah. So is he ever going to be able to, because he just can't miss right now. Is Victor going to be able to get to that level of Zav, or will he be able to pass him? Or is it because there's that passage of time that it's a different kind of different?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, he's cemented his legend status for sure.
Absolutely.
Already. And he's still going. He's got a young family at home. So I think the only thing that prevents that is his interest. At some point, if he's just like, his interest draws somewhere else, I'll throw a caveat in there that in this comp specifically, and I'm a big fan of playing the what if they landed game. Cody Bramwell had Victor's number, but didn't land his run. So I guess it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I'm just saying that. So it's the results that matter, and that's where the question comes in. And another question as well. He said it depends on whether he's interested in it or not. Another little sidebar within the De La Rue family, Mila De La Rue, his niece, Zav's daughter, is on skis. It's kind of the reverse from when we grew up. We all grew up skiing. Parents made us ski, and then we all decided to go. A lot of people decided to go snowboarding. It's kind of reversed. They were snowboarders. She's like, I want to ski. Well, she was the second person ever to throw a double backflip in competition at the Nanda Freeride, just after Astrid. I wonder two things. If she does well on the Challengers this year and makes it to the tour, does he stick around so that you can have a 2-generation family on one tour? And has that happened yet?
It hasn't happened to my knowledge, especially not at the same time. I'm not sure if we've got any kids of former tour riders who have made the tour yet. I got to imagine it's coming. I mean, Mila is so good, and she's just moved into the adult ranks. She was at Junior Worlds last year and then had just a small block of time to do the 4 stars to actually qualify into the Challengers, and did, and was a threat. She was, I think, at least one on the podium. So Mila's coming. Like, I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's when. So will Victor stick around long enough to ride on tour with his niece? I think that would just be so cool. And then we'd have Zav around a bunch more, because there's no way that he's going to not be
get
around
him a wild
with his
card.
daughter. So, yeah, totally.
Can you imagine how cool that'd be? Dad and daughter. It's just, it happens in sports occasionally. The LeBron and Bronny in the NBA just happened recently. You had Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. way back in the 90s on the same team, dad and son playing for the same team.
Yeah, Chris Dimma. I don't know if you guys are followers of snowboard history, especially around the Sea to Sky. You'll know Chris Dimma, a pro snowboarder. His daughter Drea. The two of them went to a couple of 2-star freeride events last season where they both won. So father-daughter first. So we should get Dimma back in the mix on the qualifiers and see if he can make the tour and get Drea on there as well. I mean, there's
maybe we should see if we get them on the show and chat with them about that. That would be cool. Yeah,
I think it's so exciting to see we're coming into this next generation of of these pro athletes having kids that are themselves unbelievably good. And so, it's not going to surprise me whatsoever to see. I mean, Eric Roner's son is killing it on the junior tour. Dano Slater's son killing it on the junior tour. There's all kinds of people that were pros, in their day, and their kids now are lighting it up. I mean, Noah Gaffney, like there's, we'll run out of time on this podcast if we start listing them all.
We're off on a little bit, quite a tangent here. But that's kind of that's a cool topic. I think that we should investigate and talk about a little bit more down the road, because Freeride's grown up. Freeride's been around long enough now that the second generation is old enough to compete. So that would be really cool. But like I said, Victor and Mila would be neat. Having Zav get a wild card, maybe, or at least a 4-run. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? So let's get back on track here. So Victor De La Rue won last year. Let's get to some of our rookies and non-rookies. We've got Enzo Nilo is a rookie, non-rookie. I don't know if they're calling. I haven't actually seen them call the rookies anywhere. I actually haven't seen that.
Yeah, I think they're trying to change their wording a bit, but I like non-rookie
because we've been hassling them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Enzo's awesome. He's such a good snowboarder. He had his year on the tour, and it, riding wise, it didn't go great, but everybody who met him just was instantly like totally taken by him. He's such a great spirit. He's such
I remember a dinner
guy.
That year that I was following the tour. I remember a dinner with like Wei Tian and Marcus, you and me. I think Liam Rivera's dad and like Megan Betan and Enzo, and I think all of us were in tears.
Yeah,
tears streaming down our face just because he was just going off. Like, he's such a funny dude. Like, really, really fun to be around. Great energy. Cool to see him back on tour for sure. And he's a great rider.
Yeah, I was really happy to see him put a super solid rundown. And you could hear him like emotional, but super happy emotional in the finish. Like, I finally stomped one. I think that was his first clean top to bottom tour run. So he's he's sitting in the top 5 now overall in the snowboard men after, of course, only one event, but still solid start. And he'll build off that. He's such a good snowboarder, and yeah, like I said, just a great guy.
Yeah, great dude. We also have a rookie, Remy Benamo from Switzerland. What can you tell me about Remy?
Remy's cool. Another one who put down a really good run for his first run. Yeah, he's from an area of Switzerland that I don't know super well. It's starts with a Zimal, Z. Yeah, Zimal, Switzerland. And he's basically, he says he just lives freeride. He was born like in the mountains, and it's all he wants to do.
On his feet.
Totally. Yeah. Like from day one, all he wants to do, just totally entranced by kind of the magic of it. And he's so all in on it. And he was really excited to be around, Victor and Cami and Cody and John Powell, like these guys that he's really looked up to for a long time. So he's very fired up to be in the mix with this crew. And he certainly held his own. I mean, you look at in the event that we had, Victor, Timmy, John Penfield, that was 1, 2, 3, and he's 4th right behind them. Right. Pretty good start.
Yeah, agreed. So it'd be cool to learn a bit more about him. I love as the season progresses when you get to know the personalities of these riders a little bit better. I'm thinking specifically like Timmy Schrader, like what a character that guy is, and being able to see it come out in after run interviews and on the hill and that sort of thing. That's something I really enjoy about the tour myself.
Oh yeah, the Schroeder noises are he's always got some sound effect that he's like.
Last year when he like ripped his pants and he got to the bottom and his pants were like ripped apart, and he ripped his pants again. Was it twice last season?
Yeah, once at Kicking Horse and once in Verbier.
And then just like he just runs with it. He's such a funny dude. So he's back on tour for sure. 3rd place in last year's event. Liam Rivera, who you think is going to be a serious contender this year, he's been kind of developing and getting better every season.
A bunch of podiums last year. Yeah, he's definitely, him and Oscar Mandan definitely like the biggest physical change of all the riders on the tour that I saw. Both of them have been hitting the gym hard, and like I said before, they're taking it seriously. They're training like pros. They want to do these insane things in the mountains, and they know being strong is going to help that.
Right on. Tilden Woolley from the United States won the Challenger Region 2. Yeah, really nice kid. And I'll tell you, so we've got Tilden Woolley and we got Conrad Niven. Now there was a mega tight battle for the Challenger men's snowboard. It came down to like the finest of margins. So they have a really strong contingent in the challengers. So they had to be the best of the best because there was no room for error in the Challenger Tour. So it's great to have them on board. They're both good dudes. So what can you tell me about Tilden?
I mean, first of all, he was so good right out of the gate. He did the same air as Marcus with a big back 3 up top. His run was on fire until he got caught up lower down and weird like board breaks through the crust and punches through and takes him out. But really strong start. Rides out of Palisades in Lake Tahoe, the Palisades snowboard team. He's he's just like a lovely kid. He's so excited. Again, another one, just in like kind of starstruck a little bit by the rest of the field, but for sure, as soon as he pushed out of the start gate, you're like, oh yeah, I get it.
He's one of those people that just has that kind aura about him.
Yeah, exactly.
You talk to him and you almost expect a bird to land on his shoulder. You know what I mean? just a really nice dude.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have from that really tight Challenger series that really came down to like the final event. It came down to, I don't have my notes in front of me about it, but I think it came down to who qualified based on, I think there was a tie, I believe.
So they had to pull another result in.
And they had to pull another result. So it really was that tight. And then we have Conrad Niven from Region 2 as well.
Yeah, kind of opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of like age and experience. Conrad's a little bit older. He's been around for a while, living in Aspen right now, but he's like the Mr. Worldwide. He's a Kiwi, but then moved to Australia and then moved to Canada, rocking a wild mullet mustache combo right now.
So I think we just contradicted ourselves. We got another Kiwi on the tour.
True.
I got confused because he was riding in Region 2 and he rides out of the States, but if he's a Kiwi,
totally, then Ben's not alone.
Then he's not alone. All right, we got two. Oh, hey, mate. Hey, bro, you got it wrong. Hey.
Yeah, no, Conrad's sick. He's just such a great spirit. He's like infectious. He's always laughing and joking and having a good time. But obviously his riding kind of speaks for himself. Another one who got taken out by the weird snow in the first comp. But yeah, really strong. And the mullet mustache combo that he's owning right now is classic. Kind of reminds me of Valtteri Bottas. Like he's just owning it and having a blast. He's I think he's at dinner with different people every single night. He's like, I'm gonna make the most out of this experience and get to know all these awesome people and have just like the most fun doing it. So yeah, Conrad definitely like snowboarding. Awesome. And the rest of it's just like a pleasure to be around.
And that's, we've talked about this all the time. We talk about it all the time and we're going to continue to talk about it. The people on the tour are just fantastic. It's always such a great group of human beings. It's just a pleasure to be around, a pleasure to meet, pleasure to get to know. And I can't say it enough. And it seems true. Every year they get these new crop of rookies in, and they just fit right in because this community is just so awesome. Everybody knows why they're there. Everyone's happy to be there. It's just a really fun environment where you can go and sit with every other table. Even though you're competing against them, everybody's friends. It's like a big family, which I love. And we'll continue to say it. We're going to continue to say it. So we're going to wrap it up with snowboard women.
Well, we still got a couple wild cards, Mark.
Did I miss? Pardon me. No, I did. I'm skipping ahead. We already talked about Cody Bramwell. He's a tour wild cards. He was on the tour for ages. A couple of years ago, it was between him, Blake Muller,
and Camille Armand for the title. That was so exciting.
Yeah, we didn't know who was going to win. It was like, could have gone any of the three ways. The three of them were battling it out through the entire season. Cody, as we mentioned earlier, he's English, riding for Sweden, lives in Greece.
Swedish riding for England, living in Greece.
Thank you.
And now for this winter, based in Italy.
True man of the world. Yeah. I wonder if he's a spy.
He might be. He kind of looks like a spy. I bet he looks good in a tuxedo.
He's like, exactly. He's a handsome gentleman. He's a lovely dude and a weapon on a snowboard. Yeah.
Cody definitely coming out firing. And, every comp, I can't wait to watch him ride. And even when we go, everybody goes skiing and riding outside of the competitions, he's always like one of the standouts where you're just like, wow. I mean, an accidental double backflip in a comp that almost worked. Unbelievable. He's just super talented. Looking forward to watching Cody ride all winter.
All right. And we just mentioned him. He was in that battle that year with Camille. Obviously, they ended up not quite coming through, but Camille Armand is back as well. He is I like that guy a lot, man. Very French, funny as well. Super, super strong. I know he had that accident in Andorra last year, which was pretty heavy, but he just hung out at the bottom like nothing. Like it was nothing. Like he was hanging out for hours at the bottom. You could tell he was a little sore, but it put him out of the season basically. But like that guy is a beast. He's so strong. I'm really happy that he got that wild card as well because I think he deserves to be here.
Yeah, and Victor, Enzo, and Cami are all super good friends. So they're traveling together, they're scoping together, they're hanging out, and it's really it's so nice to have like your close crew with you on the tour and all doing it together. So yeah, it says a lot for the community and for those guys to have each other to kind of to lean on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So pardon me. Now we'll cruise into the snowboard women event. We've got returning Erin Sauve, Nuria Castan-Baron, Anna Martinez, and Estelle Rizzolio. All three. I think this is, to be honest, you looking at this lineup, I think this is probably one of the strongest snowboard women lineups we've had in years. Unfortunately, we mentioned Katie Anderson. It was a former champion, had to withdraw this year due to an injury. She was out last year from an injury. I think she has a new injury, or is it just
no? It's the same one. She's 9 months post ACL surgery, and she just says she's not ready.
Okay, that's wise.
Yeah,
smart, very, very wise. I'm pretty sure we'll see her back, and next year might be scary because she'll have the whole season to be under her feet.
Yeah, exactly, and come back at 100%, and that's exactly what she wants to do. She doesn't want to come back and limp through a season. So yeah, we'll have hopefully we'll have Katie Anderson back in the mix next year.
Right. So the true rookie Naomi Aki, who won last week, who really like, not shock and surprise is the wrong words. Impressed is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, as soon as she dropped out of the gate, you were like, "Ooh, this is a contender."
Noemi, this, yeah,
she's so strong. She's such an incredibly talented rider.
360 in there too. We didn't get a lot of those. We don't get a lot of them in women's snowboarding.
She was on the national team for freestyle snowboard, so she's got the tricks. And I think for Noemi, it's just going to be finding where to bring them out, to put that on display. But what's really, I think, probably scary for some of the riders in that field is knowing that she has that bag of tricks at her disposal and also has the board handling skills in the NAR of a tour veteran. We watched her right out of the start gate, like tack, 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 those jump turns on the snowboard where other people were really struggling. So she's certainly got the full bag of skills to be a real threat on this tour.
To pay the bills, obviously with the prize money she got from winning an event. She's already paying off, literally and figuratively. So that's Naomi from France. We have also got a non-rookie, Audrey Hebert. I always say it the wrong way. I'm sorry.
That's pretty
Audrey.
good, Hebert. Yeah,
Hebert.
She's been in Banff for 18 years. She was.
I keep wanting to say Hebert because they're French, but it's Hebert. Pardon me for interrupting. I actually met her on a chairlift here in Whistler. Years ago. It might have been during the Challenger event that we had in Whistler a few years, that event. And I just righted the chairlift and got to know her a little bit. As I mentioned on the last event, she wasn't quite sure if she wanted to come back to the tour. She's been competing on the Challengers and the qualifiers for years and dominating. And then this year it's like, all right, now's the time, I think, to get back to it.
Yeah. And she proved that. I mean, Audrey, first run back on the podium, really strong rider. I said this in the live show, she's a leader in the community in North America, in the freeride community. She's, like I said, she's been around for a bit, coming back to the tour with a little bit more wisdom under her belt, and certainly some more refined riding, and great start for Audrey. She's, mentally, she's pretty locked in. She's feeling good. She's enjoying herself, which is, I think, one of the most critical parts of all of this for the riders. If you're happy and having a good time, then it shows in your riding. So yeah, stoked to see Audrey back in the mix and starting out with a great result.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just shows like she loves the sport, right? Like you said, you don't go through the challengers and the qualifiers all those years just to do them, right? That's what she was doing for a while. I was just doing them because I like to do them.
Yeah.
She wasn't aiming to get back on the tour. It wasn't her goal. She just wanted to go out and compete.
Like, yeah, and hang with all the friends.
Yeah, so that's like she is a true competitor. Like she does it for the love of it, not because she wants to make it to the tour, not because she wants to win money because she's on the podium or she wants notoriety. She just likes it because she wants to shred with other people. She wants to ride with the best. And that's really, really cool to see. So great to have her back up. Like, as you said, originally from Quebec, but living in Banff for like close to 2 decades now. We have another great wild card, Michaela Davis Meehan, who's one of my favorite people. She's fantastic, friend of the show as well. She's back on tour. She's a tour, an event winner on the tour and Kicking Horse in 2022, I believe, or 21. One of those 2 years.
Yeah, maybe 23. I don't know.
Anyway, she's a winner on tour. A bubbly personality, great rider. It was once said that she's almost a better free rider, like a film rider, than a competition rider at one point. But I don't know if I agree with that. I've seen her ride. I've been to Revelstoke just on the chairlift one day, and cruising up the lift, and I look over, and this snowboard just launches off to this boost, just boosts off this feature, hits the POW, slash, boom, hits another thing and cruises away. I'm like, who is that? And I found out later, I'm like, oh, it was Michaela. Of course, that makes so much sense. So I'm hoping that, after getting missing the cut and then going through the qualifiers and competing there, but getting that wild card back on the tour, as you mentioned with a couple other riders, and this has happened in the past with people like Ludo, Gio Diat specifically, and then Valley Rayner specifically, who got kicked off the tour, made their way back through the challengers, and then became champions, right? So sometimes you need to get knocked back and learn a bit more about yourself, develop your riding, and then bring it to the show once again. So I'm hoping that's what Michaela does, because she has all the tools, absolutely has all the tools. She's proved it. And I think this is the season for her to put that together.
Yeah. And Michaela's riding only gets better and better and better as the snow improves. Her big win at Kicking Horse, which was like a dominant win, was in great snow, and then she can step up to those big airs that she wants to do tricks off. She's like ready to go, and I think she's one. All these riders have their superpowers and their kryptonite, and I think with Michaela that her superpowder is superpowder. That was a slip. Is in good snow, and when we see the good snow come to the competitions, that's where we really see her sparkle. So look out when we get one where it dumps before. I think that's where you'll see Michaela like really.
Her superpower is in the super powder. Absolutely. All right. It looks like we've wrapped things up here. We mentioned Katie is out with an injury. A couple notable absences that we didn't mention is Finn Billis. I was really enjoying seeing him on the tour the last couple of years. He ended up getting that Red Bull helmet. He's got a lot going on. Like, that guy does a lot. And he's like a great person. I'm hoping we'll see him on a wild card this year, but he's on to bigger and better at the moment. He's continuing his evolution from freestyle to successful on the freestyle circuit growing up, successful on the Freeride World Tour. He's got that Red Bull helmet now. He's a successful films rider, like all around. I think so. He's just continuing his evolution as a person and a skier, and hopefully we'll see him back, but it's sad to not have him on the tour this year. So that pretty much wraps up all of the new riders, the athletes, the wild cards, the rookies. If we missed anything, we want you to tell us about it. Send an email to the backslap line, backslap@freerideguide.com. That's the email, and you can ask myself or Derek a question. Make sure you tell us your name and where you're from, and we'll give you a shout out. That's backslap at freerideguide.com. Thanks everybody for tuning in and listening. If you're listening, please subscribe on the podcast app you're listening to right now. And if you don't mind, go give us a 5-star review if you think we are worth it. If you're watching us on YouTube, hey everybody, how are you? Please go and hit that subscribe button. It helps. And then you see these hats that we're wearing, these sweet Freeride Guides hats with our killer logo. We're getting some more of those developed, as well as some other fun merch. So we'll let you know when that is available. If you want to support the Freeride Guide, because support from you is really helpful, and that's the reason we do it. And finally, thanks to Surefoot. Surefoot Skiing Custom Boot Fitters. If you have sore feet, it's your own fault because you haven't been to Surefoot yet. 26 stores across the world, North America, Europe. Every time I go into one of those shops, the people are great. It's just Surefoot is people that work at Surefoot are ski bums. Guys and girls who love to ski, who know what they're doing, want to help you out, and they're good to hang out with. And you'd love to do a run with them just as much as you would trust them to handle your boots. So thanks to Surefoot. Thanks to Derek for a big morning. We just get a couple episodes. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. Thanks to Larry Gauthier, FWT judge, who is also Foose's roommate, who's left to go do stuff for a couple hours while we recorded this. Kicked him out of the room. So shout out to Larry. And that's it for me. Anything from you, Derek?
No, I'm just so excited that it's all back on. Thanks for having me, Mark. Really appreciate it. And a huge thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. We absolutely love this sport. Love to just yap about it and break it down into its tiny little grains. And it's so exciting that we're truly back on now for competition season.
Okay, so the next event we've got coming up for FWT 2025 is in Val Thorens, the Val Thorens Pro in France. In the Trois Vallées. This is the first time that this event is being held there. The FWT finally returns to France. I know that the FWT always has a huge amount of French riders. The qualifiers and challengers are stacked with French riders. So it only makes sense to bring an event back to France. The weather window is the 27th of January to the 1st of February. So that'll be in a few days upon the release of this episode. Any information you can give us to set us up for Val Thorens that I may not have, Foose?
Not yet. We'll be heading there ASAP. So as soon as we get on the ground in France, we'll figure out exactly what's going on. But I'm really looking forward to that one. A brand new venue again, not even playing field for the entirety of all the categories. So it's going to be really exciting. And I know Fantastic. The French fans are ready to go ballistic.
All right, I got a little note here. So the Val Thorens Pro takes place on the Cime Caron. Is that how you pronounce it? You'll have to get me the correct pronunciation of the face. 31. Let's see. Ride will start descent from a 33,195 meter peak. So it's about 530 meters of vertical drop for that face. Steep lines, an average slope angle of 32 degrees, making for fast and technical riding with ridgelines, couloirs, and wide open sections. Val Thorens promises to push athletes to their limits in this thrilling new addition to the FWT circuit. I, for one, am excited to see it. You can go online, the freerideworldtour.com website, and actually, the face looks cool. You can go and look at it and get some information on the website. So lastly, if you haven't yet, go and join the Freeride Guide Fun Bet League. And it's for bragging rights. See if you know more than us about who's going to do what in the Fantasy Freeride League. That's it from me, Mark Warner.
And me, Derek Foose.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, Freeride family. We love you guys. And like I said, please continue to support us and help us out by listening as you've been doing. And if you feel like clicking subscribes or follows or 5 stars or any of that kind of stuff, really appreciate it. We'll talk to you sooner than you think. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.